Okay, we are live now and we just wait for people to join in. Good evening, everyone. Hello, good evening. All right, we'll begin in like a couple of minutes because everyone is joining in and everyone is wishing each other Happy New Year. All right, let's begin. Good evening, everyone. A very warm welcome to all of you in this 228th session of Zen Talks. I hope I'm audible. Am I audible? Can you please respond in comments? Yes, no, not at all. Good evening. Happy New Year. All right. Excellent. Thank you. Thank you for letting me know. Um, we are excited to present you today's session, like very extremely excited. With New Year coming in, every teacher has their checklist where they are all prepared about their New Year resolutions to make that impactful year end of the 2024. And then whatever they have considered in the year 2023, plan it and then just planning, organizing, all the stuff has been going on right now in every teacher's head. And considering that, we present today's session. Today's session is very exciting, let me tell you. Before I introduce our facilitator, I would like to tell about her before I introduce her name and the topic, actually. She's hugely popular in LinkedIn. So I found her through one of her posts, and it was very interesting post. And then I reached out to her if she's willing to present in our Sentalk session because there are a lot of teachers who would want to meet her and know the topics that she talks about in her post. So that's how I met her. And she is a senior teacher, a teacher trainer at Rainbow College in Lagos State, Nigeria. Please welcome Miss Amaka. Hello, welcome.
Hello. Hello,
Very nice to
everybody.
have you here.
Thank you so much, ma'am.
So excited, so excited.
Thank you
She
so
has many
much.
caps. Yeah, ma'am, I was telling that you have many caps to your name. Like you are an award-winning teacher, as you like, as everybody knows here, and in your place. And she's also an education consultant. She's a future of work expert, as many of you know from the articles that we have circulated, from the marketing advertisement that we have circulated about her. And she's an academic research writer. What you don't know about is how much she talks about teacher development, how much she talks, or she posts or she contributes towards the teacher training and the development of it, the nitty gritty of it, and every element, how to plan it, how to make it impactful. And with that objective in mind, we bring the topic, that is today's topic, on future forward steps for teachers in 2024. Because, of course, it's a brand new year and we want to start the year with a bang. And we have Amaka here to start that. Before I hand over the session to Amaka, this is an announcement for all of you participants here that please enjoy the session. Give us questions at the end of the sessions or throughout the questions. We are ready to take the questions. And also, you will be given the participation certificate only if you fill the feedback form. So please fill the feedback form. We would really want to know how you like the session. So that is it. So, Amaka, the stage is yours.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Hi, everybody. Happy New Year. So I'm just going to go right into it. Nice to meet all of you virtually. So I'm going to be sharing my screen and we can get right into it. So, yeah. Okay, so just let me know that you can see my screen. The topic is Future Forward Steps for Teachers in 2024. And that is the topic, future forward steps for teachers in 2024. And we're going to be looking at many things. The objective of this is to provide teachers with information about emerging educational technologies and to also encourage teachers to integrate technology into our classroom activities. Yes, we're going to be looking at that. And then to support you with information that will help you develop future focused curriculum and instructional materials. We know that the pandemic has ushered in the future. Now, post pandemic, many things have changed. We have things that have changed, and especially with regards to how we do things, how we work, and how we do things, and what we do. So, let's start with looking at these current realities. What are the current realities that we are experiencing now? And as regards it, it, that is different from what we used to know before the pandemic. So I'm going to be asking you to type in the comment section, what current realities have you noticed now? What current realities have you noticed now? I'm going to be looking at this comment. I want to be looking at the comment. What current realities, what have you noticed since post pandemic? What is that thing that has changed? I'm going to be giving you minutes to type in the chat. What is that thing that you have noticed now that wasn't there before? What is that thing you've noticed now, especially with how we work? Hybrid mode of learning. Thank you so much. Hybrid mode of learning. Very good. Now, financial problems. Okay, financial problems have increased. Okay, AI integration into education. Very good. Children have mastered technology. So good. We now have remote learning, hybrid learning, technology and application based learning. Thank you. Thank you so much. Yes. So these are the realities. A teacher must be an expert in technology. So true. So true. If a teacher, in fact, now teachers are wearing many hats. As of one of Okay, teaching technologies increase. Asynchronous and synchronous learning. Yes. Yes, using of more technology and everyone is mastered in using technology. Very good and different application. So good. This is so true. 21st century learning skills have increased. High rate of technology, net taking over books. Okay, because people are now online. Okay, internet taking over books. Students and teachers are bonding. Yeah, yeah, thank you. Learning gap has we now have noticed learning gap has increased. We now not that we now learning gap has increased. We now notice learning gaps. Okay, too much habitual of technology. Okay, thank you so much. You've all spoken amazingly well. This is so true. These are the current realities that we are currently experiencing. Yes. Now, even it's not just education that is experiencing all these things. Yeah, it's not just education. The world of work as we know it has changed. And one of the things is that we now have um we now have what we call remote work is now what we have. Yeah. People are now working a lot from home. We have people are now thinking about work-life balance, flexibility, and everything. Now let's bring it down to education. You all have spoken well. We have hybrid learning. We have the integration of technology. We have applications, AI integration in learning, teaching and learning. And we have, while these things are positive, we can see some of the negative effects of these things. So let's explore these current realities because they're going to help us to understand what we must do as teachers, as educators, if we must strive going forward. Now, we notice policy changes and educational reforms. A lot of curriculums, a lot of policies are being changed in different countries as regards education. We have because I'm going to be talking from the perspective of my country. Now, you can imagine that prior to pandemic, people used to learn ICT, that's computer studies in schools. Now, look at the things that have happened. We have artificial intelligence, we have coding, we have robotics. There are now new things. Now we can see that the curriculum is being revamped to ensure that these topics are included in the school. It's a current reality. At the end of it, I'm going to tell you how you must position yourself. These are so many things have come. We have a lot of roles have emerged. A lot of jobs have been created, while many jobs have fizzled out. And because of this, it is now a thing, it is now paramount for this curriculum to be changed, for this curriculum to be revamped to ensure that it adequately provides the students who are going to be taught with this curriculum, we adequately prepare them for the future. I've used ICT as an instance. Let's even say the English curriculum. I'm talking from experience where I teach in Nigeria. Now, it is paramount that we start to look at how to teach these other writing, copywriting, all the things that are copywriting frameworks and everything in our schools, because they are actually very important. So there is policy change and there's educational reforms going on. And this can confuse teachers. And this is actually taxing. How do you adapt? How do I position myself? What do I do? How is this my business? Another current reality is well-being and burnout prevention. Because of these changes, many teachers are burnt out. Because the reality is that many teachers are wearing many hats. You find out that you're a coach. You're not just only a coach, you are a nurse, you are a career advisor, you are, in fact, many things at the same time. You are a technologist, you are a teacher, you are a curriculum designer, you are many things, and it can cause burnout. In addition to your own personal challenges and personal responsibilities, you are also expected to do these things. Now, people have recognized that, yeah, there's something like workplace burnout. So, a current reality is that people are now starting to look for ways to make sure that burnout is prevented. Is a reality. Another thing is adaptation to hybrid learning is our current reality, because the pandemic ushered in and let us to understand that it is possible to learn remotely. We have people, our universities, we have people who are in a different country, and they are on a full course program in these universities. Yes. So hybrid learning has come. Where I'm teaching, we have students who are not even in Nigeria. I teach in a secondary school. We have students who are not in Nigeria, but they have paid school fees and we must teach them. And they learn as we are also teaching the students in class. You see, so sometimes if they are fortunate enough to be in the country, they can come in physically. When they're not in the country, they go back and they are still learning. Learning must take place. This was not the reality prior to the pandemic. It is now a thing. We had to adapt. We had to learn how to ensure that these students must write exam. These students must be actively engaged in the classroom. Is a thing. Then we have parent and community engagement. Parent and community engagement. Now, in these days, one of the realities is that now we are actively involving and engaging our parents. We are actively collaborating with parents and with the community, because we've realized that educating a child is not just the sole responsibility of the teacher, that the parents must be involved. We must collaborate with them if we must adequately and effectively educate a child and prepare the child for his or her future. Another current reality is that our instructions are data driven. We're not just giving instructions based on how we feel or what we feel. We have data to prove it. You are tracking the performance of your learners. Now you are tracking what you are looking at, their learning style, you are tracking their learning preferences, you are tracking how their performance was before, what is happening now. You are looking at why is this thing happening, and you are tailoring your instruction to suit the needs of your learners. So teaching and learning in this current reality is now more learner centered. is now more learner centered. It's no longer about how you feel. It's no longer about what you feel like doing. It's no longer about what you think is necessary. You are using data. You are using data to track the future. You are looking at, okay, from what is happening now, look at where the future is moving. Look at where the trajectory, look at how it is going. Because of that, I think I need to ensure that this and this and this are put in place so that I can adequately prepare this learner, for the future. Then technology integration. In everything we're doing, the current reality is that we are integrating technology. We are integrating technology in everything we're doing. We are using a lot of applications. We are using a lot of games, in teaching and learning. We are, in fact, you can't even engage a student online if hybrid learning has come to stay, if remote learning has come to stay. Of course, you know that for you to adequately engage the learner remotely or online, you must use technology. You are using technology to track performance. You are using technology to engage the learner. You are using technology to even give feedback to the learner. Technology has come to stay. And what is the implication? That we must adapt. We must learn how to use online applications. We must learn how to automate our tasks with technology. Yes, we must learn how not to that email when you want to write newsletter. There is automated apps you can use to do that, and you're not going to be wasting your time. That is the implication. And then this thing is that we have classroom management in digital space is a thing, is a reality, something that we must look into, is a reality. Because even managing behavior in the physical classroom can be challenging. You can imagine managing behavior in an online classroom. That really can be challenging. And that is why involving and collaborating with the parent is key, is crucial. Because, when I teach students online, how are you aware? How are you going to be sure that the student is following what you're doing? How are you going to be sure that the student actually is listening to you? How are you going to ensure that the student and the tasks? I actually taught a student online just an hour before this webinar, right? And I looked at what he wrote. I gave him an essay to write on the topic, so influence of social media on teenagers after teaching. Now, when he gave me the task, when he turned in his work, I look at the work, I told him that he did not do this work himself. I had to question him. He now actually said the truth that he didn't really do it himself. So we must learn how to manage all these things. There are technology that you can use to ascertain when a student has turned in a work that is not his. I told him, I know this work is not yours, and I told him how I knew. And eventually, I had to tell him to share his screen while he does the work. And I was able to say, okay, this is now your work. So these are the current realities. These are the current realities we have. So type in the chat if you have any of these current realities. Is there anyone I mentioned that you have witnessed? Is there anyone I mentioned that you have witnessed? Let me see in the chat. Is there anyone I mentioned that you have witnessed, or that you have, you know, any of the challenges that you have witnessed? Anyone I mentioned so far, these current realities, that is peculiar to you, that you have witnessed? Yes, mostly all of them. Yeah. Yeah, thank you so much. Mostly all of them. Okay, that's good. These are our current realities post pandemic. And the challenging thing is that teachers must look for ways to position themselves to overcome the challenges of these realities. Yeah, we're looking for ways to ensure that we must overcome the challenges that these realities have presented to us. Now, moving forward, yes, true. Yeah, true is true. Very good. Thank you so much for that feedback. So, now, having seen the current realities, now let's look at who is a future forward teacher. Who is a future forward teacher? Now, I said a future forward teacher is an educator who is proactive and forward thinking. Now, let's pause here. Proactive, forward thinking. There's a saying that you don't prepare for war on the day of war. You do not prepare for war on the day of war, because that is actually planning to fail. And that failing to plan is actually planning to fail. So if you don't prepare for war on the day of war, if that is true, if you must succeed, if you must win the war, you have to start to plan ahead. And for you to win the war, you have to actually try to be proactive, try to foresee. You have to be future, you have to be forward thinking. You have to preempt what is going to happen for you to be able to say, okay, I'm going to win this war. I am fully prepared. So a future forward teacher is one who is proactive. You are preempting what is going to happen. You have looked at the history, you have looked at history, you have looked at the past, you have studied the present, and you're still studying it, and you're using this information to do what? To preempt the future. And why are you doing this? So that you are doing this so that you can better be prepared to prepare the learner for the future you are launching the learner into. Because it's not about us as teachers at the end of the day. It's about the learner. It's about our students. It's about our pupils. So how can you beat your hand on your chest and say, oh, if the future, if 10 years should come now, this child, this learner will thrive. It's not just about making them to manage the future. It's not preparing them to manage, but to thrive in the future they're being launched into. So when I talk with some colleagues and they're complaining about artificial intelligence, the challenges, students are stuck on screen and everything, I'm like, yeah, this is true. But the truth is that these things will get worse because it has come to stay. They are digital native. They are born into technology. This is what they know. This is what they opened their eyes. They grew up with it. So if this is what you are saying, you are still stuck on the challenge. This is true. So what should you do as a teacher to ensure that these challenges are curbed, to ensure that you actually take them away from the path of destruction or the path of the negativity of this thing, to ensure that they start to see it, or they start to look for ways to ensure that they can utilize technology successfully for their own benefit. So a future forward teacher is proactive and forward thinking in adapting to and embracing the challenges and advancement in the field of education. Sorry, the changes. Changes are happening in the field of education, like we all noted. These realities, there are changes that have come to stay. So advancements are happening. See, I saw something recently about a school where a robot was teaching, but somebody is actually going to be managing, or is going to be operating the robot, I think. I saw a school also where, nowadays all you need to do is someone can actually go online and learn. We have online courses, we have people prepare courses, you can go out there and learn. So these are the realities, right? So how are you embracing the changes? How are you embracing this advancement in the field of education? Such a teacher is not only aware of the current educational trends, there is awareness. It's good that you are aware. Very good. At least that means the person is no longer ignorant. You are aware of these things. But do you know what I call wisdom? Wisdom is when I call someone wise when the person does something with what he or she knows, with the information he or she has gotten. When you do something with it, you become wise. Many people are aware of these things. Many teachers, that is good. They have moved from ignorance to being aware. So, what are you doing with it? What are you doing with the awareness? What are you doing with the information at hand? How are you using it to prepare yourself for the future? So, you are also actively engaged in preparing students for the challenges and opportunities they will face in the future. Like I said earlier, at the end of the day, it's not about us, it's about our students, it's about our learners. So you're looking, okay, this is what is going to happen. Okay, how does it now change how you advise your students? For instance, a student comes to you, I'm stuck. I want to become a medical doctor. I want to study medicine. How are you going to advise a person looking at what is going to happen? Are you going to say, okay, is there something like medical technologies to something? I'm just looking. Are you going to go check it? Looking at the future, in the future, We're going to be having doctors who are going to thrive, and medical doctors who also learn how to operate, who learn how to operate robotics or how to use technology, because you might have medical technologists. I don't know. So, do you understand how knowing these things? How does it affect you? You are aware changes are happening. You are aware of these things. You have gone to learn about it. You have gone to look at it. You have gone to say, okay, this is what is happening. This is what is obtainable. Career has changed. The world of work has changed. Things are changing. How do I ensure that my students are adequately prepared for the future so that they can not only survive, they will thrive. They will become the winners in the future. So let's look at the characteristics of a future forward teacher. A future forward teacher is adaptable. A future forward teacher, you are adaptable, you have seen these things, you have an open mind and you can do it. You are technologically proficient. You can use technology. You can use all these online apps. You know how to collaborate in time with your students on the online space. You know how to gamify your lesson to ensure your students are carried along. Right. You know you are innovative when it comes to your pedagogy. That is, you are not just you are not just recycling old teaching method. You just come to classroom and you talk to your students. You are looking for ways to, bring innovation in your classroom. You're looking for ways to ensure that your students are carried along, they are engaged. You are bringing in project-based learning. You ensure that now it's easy. If you give them some tasks, they can go online and copy the tasks and give you. So you are now being innovative enough to ensure that the tasks you're going to be giving them are application based. They are going to be applying what you're going to be teaching them in the classroom. So you are innovative enough to do that. You are innovative enough to ensure that your class is not boring. But that subject that student doesn't like, the student suddenly likes it because of your innovative teaching method. You are intentional about differentiating your instruction, differentiating your tasks. You are innovative enough to understand that your students have different learning needs, different learning styles, and you are also innovative enough to ensure that you meet all these individual needs. You are culturally competent, that you can teach any student from any culture, from any background, from any experience. You adapt to ensure that you come down to the level of that student, of that or that learner, regardless of where his religious belief, regardless of his race, of his culture, or anything. You are culturally competent to know what to say, the examples to use, so you don't offend anybody or any student. You are a continuous learner. And let me go back to cultural competence. You are also aware that we have what we call inclusion. That inclusion is a thing now, is a reality, because the pandemic, post-pandemic, we have a lot of people migrating to different countries. We have a lot of people migrating to different countries. It can have different learners from different cultures in your classroom, and you make sure that your classroom is set up in such a way that everybody is heard, everybody is included. You model that inclusion for your students, so they're also learning, because in the future we are going to be having, people. You have to learn how to interact with people from different cultural backgrounds. So you set the mold in your classroom, you model these things. You're a continuous learner, of course. You keep learning, because you can't say I'm done with learning as a future forward teacher, because change is constant. And for you to adapt, you need to keep on learning. You are aware of um social emotional learning is a thing now. You are aware of this. You make data driven decision, very important. This time, for you to be future forward, you have to have your data. You have to learn how to collect data. You have to learn how to analyze data and then use that data to inform your decision, what you're going to be doing in the classroom. You can use that data to even inform or advise the school leadership or the curriculum developers, right? You say, okay, based on this, when the people can't argue with data. They can argue with your opinion, because it's your opinion, is what your observation. But when you have data that cannot be argued with, you have collected data over time, and you're actually presenting the data. And of course, they will listen to you. So you're using that data to make decisions, to decide what you're going to be doing in the classroom, how you're going to be doing it, what you're going to be designing, and all that. And you have hybrid and remote teaching skills. Remote teaching is something you have to learn. You have to be skilled in doing it so that you can adequately carry along your learners. Right now, we have what we have online schools. We have schools online. I have colleagues who teach in all these online schools. And for you to adequately engage your learners, connect with your learner, and ensure that they are learning, you have to have the skills. You have to learn how to operate these apps where you can actually record your screen, record yourself, and send the lesson to the students. They look at it, they learn, they come to class, you discuss, you give tasks, you look for ways to give feedbacks, in such a way that the students and the learner connect with you. That means you are future forward. These are the characteristics. Now, in closing, let's look at the future forward steps that teachers can take to stay ahead of the curve, foster student success, and thrive in the dynamic educational environment of 2024. So now there are steps you can take as teachers to stay ahead. Let's look at these things. First, embrace technology integration. And when I say technology integration, I mean embrace AI. I know most of us are still skeptical. Most of us are worried about it. Artificial intelligence, technology. Some actually drained. Some find it very challenging. Look, as long as you are human, there's nothing you can't learn, right? Okay, let me say, if you put your mind to it, you can learn. Now, I always tell people, learn the thing that is relevant to you. You mustn't learn maybe all the 1,001 million apps out there, or AI, whatever out there. You can choose the ones that are relevant to you. There are a lot of AI, and the thing is that you have to start to see technology as something that has come to help you as a teacher. There are a lot of tasks that are boring, monotonous, that we do, like lesson planning, like giving feedback to learners, grading, all those things. Now, why don't you use AI as your assistant? Why don't you see technology as your assistant and instruct it to do some of these tasks, so that you can automate the tasks? We have Magic School AI you can use. We have EduEd AI you can use, And when you go on that platform on Magic School AI, you can see, you can write lesson plan, you can do newsletter, you can do many things. All you need to do is to quickly give it instruction, and it does it for you, and you adapt and do some changes, and you are good to go, so that you can focus on what is important, observing your learners, ensuring, because it's not just about the subject you're teaching them. You are teaching values, you are teaching um skills. Yeah, you're teaching values, you're teaching skills. You are looking at them so you can focus more on these things. Give AI, give technology the task of doing those automated tasks. They can just do it, where you can focus on what is most important. You can actually say, okay, this is how I want to go do this lesson. This is what I want to do. Okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that. And it will also save you burnout. It will also save you burnout as a teacher. So embrace technology. Look for a way. There are lots of AI you can quickly use to create quizzes, create engaging tasks, embrace it. See it as something that is not challenging, but as your word, assistant. I call it my assistant. It's okay, assistant, come here. It's time for you to work. I give it around, it does it, and I'm done. Right? I even use AI to analyze data. I use AI to analyze data in my classroom to be able to say, okay, this social child in this semester did well here, did not do well here, and AI will even give me possible reasons based on the information I have fed it. You see, and I will use it to look at what I already have, what from my observation, and I'm able to come up with something professional that I can present to the school leaders, I can present to the parents when I'm having one-on-one discussion with the parents. It's actually very good. Foster inclusivity and diversity, because you are aware that in the future, like I said earlier, we're going to be having people from diverse culture come together to solve a problem, to work together. So you have to learn how to ensure that your learners know how to carry along everybody. They're learning tolerance in the classroom. They're learning to ensure that everybody's opinion matter. Everybody's opinion counts. So they're learning to listen to other people. So you have to start to first learn how to do this. And how do you do this? You model it. When you're asking questions, you ensure all your learners speak. You ensure that you don't talk down on your learners, regardless of what the person has said. You respect your learners. You know that respect is reciprocal, and they're learning these things because inclusivity means you have to respect every person regardless of where the person is. Regardless, you might not agree with the person's beliefs, but then you respect it. You might not agree with the person's opinion, but you respect it. You might not share the person's sexual orientation or religious belief or whatever, but you respect that person as an individual, and you ensure that the person is heard. You model it because you are preparing students for the future. Remember, you are future forward. And the future forward is not about you alone, it's about your students. So you are actually modeling this thing in your classroom. Develop critical thinking and problem solving skills. Right now, the world is tired of people who can pinpoint problems and challenges. We have a lot of people who can talk about the corruption in the country. They can talk about what is not working. They can talk about where things have gone wrong. We are looking for people who can even not just think outside the box, create their own box and come up with solutions. And how do you do this? You ensure that your tasks and whatever you're doing in your classroom can actually do what? Help the students to think critically. The students can think critically, right? So you are ensure that whatever you're doing, your questioning style should help your students to think. Do not spoon feed them. Give them challenging tasks. And what you also do, you learn to congratulate, or you congratulate those who have done something extraordinary, and you encourage those who are on their way to do that. Ensure they are thinking. Share them in groups and give them challenging tasks. Structure it in such a way that it will make sure that they are thinking. Right. You give them problems to solve. When you're giving project, ensure it is something that has to do with a problem that they have to unravel. In your extracurricular activities, ensure you do this, because in the future, those who are problem solvers are the ones that will thrive. Those who develop um, solution to world problems are the ones that will thrive. They are the ones that will be celebrated. So I have to start to do this. If when I was teaching in a particular school, we realized that our students were not thinking. If you give them comprehension and you ask them questions, inferential questions, they couldn't come up with something intelligent. What do? We have to go back to the drawing board. We have to ensure that we have to start to structure comprehension questions in such a way that it would make them think, and we saw results. Right? We had to ensure that in everything we did during that time, we ensured that they had to do with something that will ensure the students were thinking. Very important. Then of course, you have to invest in continuous professional development. There are a lot of things to learn right now, and there are a lot of platforms you can actually go and learn these things. Now, invest your money in learning. However, we still have some platforms that are not too expensive. On LinkedIn Learning, I have been learning a lot of things. Go download LinkedIn Learning app, and you will see, look for the course that is relevant to you and relevant to the skill you want to develop and relevant to the thing you want to learn, and learn the course. Continuous learning. Go for conferences, attend webinars, right? Ask questions, reach out to people you feel are doing amazingly well. Reach out to them and ask questions. Continuously develop yourself. If you must strive and if you must help your learners to thrive in the future, you must not be stagnant. I tell people, there's nothing like stagnancy anyway. If you stop learning, you start to dwindle. Then cultivate social and emotional learning. You have to start to think about how you can become more emotionally intelligent and more socially intelligent, so that you can actually adequately prepare your learners for this. We have SEL curriculum. Go online and search it out, and look for ways you can accommodate and integrate these things in your teaching. Yes. How do you Look for the curriculum. It is a thing right now. Look for the curriculum because we want people who are emotionally intelligent. We want people who can understand their emotion and also understand the emotions of others and know how to relate with people. We want people who children who are not gonna just you know engage in outbursts like that. We want people who are emotionally intelligent to know when to talk, when to speak, when not to talk, how to talk. So look for these things, incorporate it in your teaching, and make sure you model these things because in the future, this is a skill that would actually distinguish those who are going to be thriving and those who are not. We don't want to say, I don't want to work with that person. He's actually good at his job, but he lacks emotional intelligence. Some people have gotten here, but because of lack of emotional intelligence, they have actually lost some things. Then you have to learn how to adapt to hybrid and remote teaching. Now, in addition to what maybe you're working in a school 9 to 5, now I can tell you that another way to make money as a teacher is by involving yourself in remote teaching. Yes, I am in Nigeria. I teach students in Canada, in the US, and in the UK. I teach them during the weekends, and that's an additional stream of income for me. And I'm able to do this because I've learned the hybrid and remote teaching skills. And because I have done it so well, I have a lot of people who are recommending me to others over there. That is an additional stream of income for me. And I can tell you, it is a good stream of income. So in addition to learning how to do that, also think about it that it can be something you can learn to ensure that you make more money for yourself as a teacher. And then learn how to leverage data-driven instruction. Learn how to leverage data driven instruction. You have to learn how to collect data. If you don't know how to do Excel, go and learn how to do that's a basic data, what do I call, application, right? Excel. So you go and learn how to collate data. Now we have a lot of AI apps, a lot of AI software application that can actually help you do that. Can you imagine I use Google Bard to even analyze my data? Yes, even ChatGPT can even help you if you know the rudiment or the if you know the basis of data analysis. It can help you analyze data, and that was one of the things that helped to stand me out in my school. I was the only person that was able to do that. I had to teach. I was trying to teach my colleagues how to do that, and they weren't getting it. I quickly took all the data and I did it myself. I analyzed it and actually it brought me in the limelight in my school, right? So you have to learn how to leverage data, learn how to collate data. Do not make any decision in your classroom without just based on your opinion. Oh, but this child can answer question in class. Because of that, let's see. And now that we know many schools are no longer subscribing to standardized tests and all, how do you know who this student is? How do you know who your learner is? Data collation, data analysis, because many schools are no longer subscribing to standardized tests. They're saying that 3 hours test is not going to determine the future of a child. So how do you do this? They collect data from the day the child entered the school, maybe in grade 9, 10, 11, or grade 7. They start to collect the data. And from that, they can make informed decision based on this thing. I think the best career path for you to pursue should be this. Data collation is very important. And as I conclude by saying this: in the evolving landscape of education, our commitment as educators is not merely to teach today's curriculum. We're not just teaching today's curriculum. We are here to inspire a passion for lifelong learning. Yes, ensure that your students they understand that yes, as long as change is constant, we would continue to learn, and they come to love how to learn. So as we prepare and lifelong learning, adaptability, you are teaching. There's something I call the hidden curriculum that might not be written down, but all these skills, all these values, all these behaviors, they are hidden curriculum that your students learn by observing you, by looking at you, and by looking at the culture and by let's say adapting to the culture that you have instituted in your classroom. So these are the hidden curriculum, very important, the skills that would actually help them thrive. I'm going to say this. I have a colleague, when I went to the university, this lady, she came out with first class. The school tried to employ her, but she lacked the skill to thrive. She was book smart, but she did not have the skills. She could not relate with people. She had no friends. She was actually a very difficult person. So book smart she was, but because of these skills that she lacked, she could not thrive. She could not thrive. I kid you not. So there are the hidden curriculum. I say that's most important because if you prepare a student who is intelligent, the skills, the behavior will help make the student thrive and soar. As we prepare our students for the future, let us remember that true education transcends the confines of the classroom. Yes, it's not just within the four walls of a classroom. So, empowering each learner to become architects of their own success is a world of endless possibilities. For them to be successful, to be the originators of their own success, to be the one that will champion their own success, the responsibility is on you. And for you to do that, because they are being launched into the future has actually arrived. They are being launched into the future, and you want them to thrive. What do you do? That means you have to become a future forward teacher. Think of the future, think of your learners, and think of better ways to ensure that they are prepared adequately for the future. So, with this, I come to the end of my presentation. So, I believe it's time for
Well,
questions.
it's time for questions. So, I would request the participants to please pour in the questions. There are more about appreciating the content than questions and agreeing with you whatever you said. But then, if there are more questions, please pour it in. Such an insightful sessions. I have like so many takeaways to discuss with you. But let's just look at some of the questions. So, someone asked, what type of data is helpful in decision making
Okay,
in
what type
particular?
of data is? I didn't get that. Can you say it again, ma'am?
So, what type of data, as in like when you have talked about data driven, being data driven in
Yeah.
classroom practices and in for your professional development as it is. So,
Yeah.
what kind of data collection, data driven are you talking about? Do you have like any specific example that you can
Okay. So I'm gonna use the one I did. Being data driven means you have to ensure that you are tracking the performance of your learners. Now, for instance, when you give them tasks, you document. It's on documentation. Document the because you're observing. Document the performance, the score. You document every task. You're collating the data, right? Because the truth is, a student, you might give a student standardized test today, and the student might not do well. So you can now say, okay, from the track record I have here, from data that I have collected, this student is an A student. You can now make a decision. You can now talk with whoever is in charge. Let's find out what happened the day this child wrote this standardized test. Something must have happened. So you can now say, oh, because, why are you making this decision? Because you have your data. You have given tests, you have collected the data, you have seen it. You have seen it. This child is doing well. This child is doing well. You can now say, okay, you can now find out. Perhaps that day something happened at home. Or perhaps that day the child wasn't adequately prepared. Or whatever. Now, when you collect data also, at some point you can say, from this scene, I've seen the data this child had in year 8. And I'm looking at year 9. First week, second week, third week. No, 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 no. Comparing this data to this, no. I think something is wrong. You can now go speak with the previous teachers. You're making whatever you're doing is data driven. You can now say, okay, based on this, can we invite the parents? Let's know what is going on. You can provide adequate in early intervention. You can see, sometimes, I know some people might not be ethical enough. Some school, because they want the children to pass. They want to say that the school is doing well. They can just doctor, they can just say, this child is an A-star student. So if you just go with that, at the end of the day, you might not really adequately help this child. But if you now see, look at what I have. Look at what I have. Oh my goodness, look at what I have. Because if you pile it up, you might not really, you can just quickly go where you actually document or collate the data. Look at, this child did well here, did not do well here. Look at where he did not do well. There's something we are doing now in my school. We call it rap meeting. We are giving this we are preparing these students for Cambridge exam, checkpoint exam, and we've been giving them standardized Cambridge test every week. And every week we'll have our meeting. We collect the data. We'll now come together as teachers. We'll have a meeting. We're now like, okay, why do you think? We even look at the individual questions. We do correction. We ask the child what happened there. We're able to, say, oh, because of this, this was why the child did not really do well in this question. It now helps us to go back to the classroom and pick this topic, and then try to re-strategize to see how we're going to reteach. So that's the kind of data I'm talking about. Performance, the age, the experience. You collect data. Where does the child live? Is it in the house? Are the parents always fighting? This data will help you. Are the parents always fighting? Is the child living with a stepmother that has neglected the child? These are this data you collect that will help you help the child better. At the end of the day, it's all about the child. I think that
All right.
helps. Yeah.
Okay. I think it's the major intent is to help the child, not just to pass them, right?
No, no.
And all this, even this, the recording things, the recording elements are very tiny, but it makes a huge impact at the end for the child
Yes.
development, right?
Yes.
All right. Okay. Great answer. All right. Let's move to the next questions. So we have someone asking, how can we improve the learning of slow learners?
How can we
Like for
improve
the
the learning of slow
slow
learners?
learners.
Okay. Now, to improve the learning of slow learners, basically, you you have to teach the child the way the child wants to learn. And what we do, I'm going to be telling you what I do. If we pick out the slow learners, we design what we call IEP for them, individualized educational plan for them. So I'm going to tell you, this is where you now bring in collaboration. So what I did, I'm going to tell you what I did. I had three of them last session. So um, in the classroom, after teaching, we have what we call focus group. So I ensured they were always on my focus group. So focus group, after teaching and you give them tasks to do, I will now bring these three learners together because I know that I can't just slow the class down, right? I carry them along, maybe when in the starter activity, then I leave. Then when I give the others tasks to do, individual tasks, I now go to this focus, I put them in my focus group most often. I now start to teach at their own pace. That is one. Two, I ensured that I was in collaboration with their parents. I made their parents know this is the challenge here, right? So from that, we had what we call intervention plans for them. So there was collaboration. Sometimes at the end of the school day, we would now come back to the parents agreed. Other students must have gone home. We'll now stay back in class. I found out how they love to learn. Some of them love to learn with songs. That was this particular one, songs. I became a songwriter. I we now find a way to, those rudiments, the things we want them to learn, I had to incorporate them in songs. So find out how the child wants to learn. Find out if it's a special education, so if it's a challenge with if the child is SEN, involve the SEN group. If it's something beyond you, if it's something that a professional needs to come in, like the SEN practitioners, involve them. However, you must not neglect the child. No child must be left out. So involved, and then what I did again was I found out a particular colleague of mine that one of the students liked. So I begged her to please help me. So I will always tell her, oh yeah, go to this Mrs. O to teach you this. So anything just to help the child. So find out how the child wants to learn, involve the parents, involve the school, and then do individual education plan for the child. And do not expect so much. Celebrate any improvement, any progress. If you see the way I hype it, oh my goodness, you did this, we dance, and then ensure that you pair them up with other students that they like. Sometimes anything, just be innovative enough, explore until you get what the thing that you know would be helpful to the learner.
Right. Like celebrating smaller things. I think uh, those children needs the most. And coming
Yeah.
to that, like I think somewhere you have also mentioned about how giving examples and setting out practical exercises for students have to be thoroughly considered somewhere around the inclusivity and diversity. You have mentioned somewhere, which I really liked. I just wanted to talk about it because the topic was really nice. That we, in this era, we should be very careful. The teachers have to be very careful with what examples we give to students and what
Yes.
exercises we give to students, not to offend, but to
Yes.
expand the horizon of knowledge, right? And then I think
Yes.
this is not limited to slow learners, but to every criteria or every type of learners as well, which was
Yes.
like really interesting to know. I just wanted to point it out because, like, I think somewhere this and that, and for every learners it relates, right? So
Yes.
yes,
Yes.
celebrating was like a bonus point. Yes, we should celebrate like each and every tiny achievements of those plant learners. One last question before we go. So there's we have a question saying that, okay, sometimes technology does not work in dealing the chapter. Then, according to you, how much technology should be used in preparing lesson plans? I think what the question really implies is like how much we should use the technology for what purposes and how much we should restrict ourselves as a teacher because
Okay.
of ethical issues or of our own professional development. Where is the limit or the boundary to set for using all AI technology?
Okay. So I get this question a lot. People say AI is going to take over our creativity. Who is the person using the artificial intelligence? Now, for me, I'm going to talk from experience. AI actually makes me more creative. How? If you put a lazy prompt, to call it prompt for AI will give you a generic prompt. So it takes you to apply your intelligence to to be able, just look at it as when you employ a physical assistant, right? Your assistant, it will take your assistant time to learn you, to master you, to know when you need water, when you need silence, when you don't need any disturbance. That's how it is. So if you are not able to do that, you're going to be frustrating yourself and the assistant. So now what I'm going to say is this: if you're looking at the boundaries, use AI for those automated tasks that actually takes your time as a teacher and that would make you to burn out. Sometimes teachers can take, without AI and without technology, you can take 3 hours planning a lesson. If you really want to plan a lesson, you are thinking, okay, how do I bring in this? What do I do this? Why don't you allow AI to help you? You can say, help me to do differentiated tasks for on this topic. When the AI gives it to you, you are a human being. You can adapt. That's the limit. You can now say, okay, remove this, add that. Right? You're not being lazy to say, I'm going to copy this and just give it like that. Because at the end of the day, AI will not know your students. You know your learners more than you. So no matter what they give you, or no matter what it gives you, you will still, at the end of the day, adapt and tweak it to suit your learning environment, to suit your learners. So you saying that AI, no, it's not. At the end of the day, what it's going to do is that if it's going to take you 3 hours to plan that lesson, at the end of the day, it can only take maybe 40 minutes. But you are going to be tweaking what AI is going to give you. You're not going to copy verbatim and give it. No, no, because it is personalized. You know your learners. AI does not know your learners, does not know what you want to do. Yeah. So use it to do those automated tasks so that you can focus more. For instance, if AI gives you these things, you can now focus on, okay, this is the differentiated tasks. Who do I give this to? I'm gonna give it to student A. But this student A, I'm gonna add this. Let me just add this and that. At the end of this, you are still bringing your creativity and your intelligence to the game, but it has helped to, help you to manage time. You can imagine sitting down at the end of the day being frustrated, you know. So also, when I feed that information, when I use it to collect data, I say, okay, this is the data. I don't use the real names of my students for privacy's sake. I just know student 1, 2, 3. I know where they are, and I give it, and it helps me to, this is what it's giving me. Oh my goodness. Okay, from this, I look at my own data, and I'm saying, oh, okay, I tweak it before I present it. When I also want to write about my students, when I want to give feedback, I say student A is intelligence, this. I tell AI, help me to rewrite this more professionally. You see, so at the end of the day, it's still you. AI will now say, okay, from based on the information I've given it about this student A, so it can now say, okay, this is what you want to say more. When it's done giving me, I will look at it. I know my student. I will say, this particular adjective does not qualify my student. I will remove it. This actually qualifies my student. I will pick it up. So there's a limit. Use it to. At the end of the day, it's you. You are the human. Human beings created AI. So you are the human. You are more intelligent than it, of course. So you know where to come in. Where to just use it to automate your tasks. Use it to make your tasks more professional. That's what I'm gonna say.
Very true. Yes, at the end of the day, you are the judge of it, right? And
Yeah.
knowing your
Yeah.
students and then giving them marks. I like that line that you put. AI helps it make it better.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's no, the marks is there, which is like really good, which is very true. It shows how you know the students very well, and at the same time, you know that okay, the work is done, but at the same time, they have put their own inputs also in that. So that element is very good. I have a lot of questions otherwise, but we are running out of time. Because we have passed the time, we have so many questions. So I would request the participants that we have many questions, to be honest. Apologies if we could not answer your question. Please put the questions in the feedback form, and I promise I'll share the questions with Amaka to address them. We are very grateful to have you in our platform, Amaka. Like it's been such an insightful session. You can see the comments. I will share you the feedback personally later on, and such an insightful session. So many takeaways from here, and we would appreciate you keep coming back to us to engage such huge session and huge crowd as well. Thank you so much for joining in, and
Thank
for the
you.
participants. Thank you for joining in such an engaging session. I hope you had a lot of takeaways as like I did from the session. We have another session coming up on Thursday, which is all about the Centa TPO. I know you all are excited. Please check our website for other products and services as well, and the Centox sessions that is going on. We promise to bring more content like one today and have more awesome facilitators like Amaka here today to engage and talk about teacher professional development. Have a great night, good night, and good afternoon. Thank you, Amaka. Thank you for joining in. Bye
Bye.
bye. Take
Bye.
care.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah.